La Paz, here we come. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's your buddy Mikey here. We're looking at the maps for Baja. February 7th, 2022. And we're gonna make some adventures down to La Paz to go see Dave and Wiley down there, do some sailing and some fishing. Let's get it. We're gonna make our way to the airport, all packed up.
Oh, here we are, beautiful little cars.
It's for sure beautiful.
We got some fish tacos waiting for us.
This is not, yeah.
This is
yeah. That's just how it is. Wiley right there. What kind of boat is it?
Wiley is a Catalina 36 and what they call an MK2 model. They built like 3,600 of these, and this is one of the, I think it was in 1999 that they switched over to this model. It got a sugar scoop on the back. It's a little different than the older models. And the MK2, which is this called, they built that all the way up until recently. And it's pretty cool. It's a fun little boat. Great for the Sea of Cortez. And, you are going to become the master of this boat.
That's the plan. It's a dream.
Let's see. Hey, down here. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you.
You Pedro?
Yes, sir.
Mike.
Mike, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Can I do filming for the YouTube?
Sure.
Yeah.
For a couple of days.
Yeah, next week.
Them fish when you get to that area. What do you do?
It all depends what we're looking for. For example, for yellowtail, we're fishing this area here. There's a lot of rocky or high spots, but our main fishing spot is somewhere here.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Same here.
On the tip here?
No. All the points.
But any point is
For trigger fish.
30 to 80 is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like it's got some flex on the tip, so
Yeah, very nice.
those reef fish.
Then you just start pouring it out and you pour it.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's your buddy Mikey here, SD Fishing Sips, and we're in La Paz. Day 2, got in yesterday, flew here from San Diego, got down here, met up with Dave, kind of got acclimated a little bit with Wiley, put in some work today, getting ready, prepping for the trip, and then we're gonna head out, go to the islands for some fishing and some sailing. It's Baja Adventures here in La Paz.
Good morning.
Please turn your radios to high power and turn off
Everybody
any
around
noise
here gets
makers,
on the radio
refrigerators,
and
and
listens
burners,
and
etc.
talks and sees if
First
there's
off,
any
do we have any
emergencies
medical emergency or priority
or any
traffic?
kind of
Please
things
come ahead
people
now.
want to know about, any advisories, all that kind of stuff.
All right, doing some prep this morning. Get ready for the trip. We gotta get the gas. And then we got the little dinghy right here with the 2-stroke. So we gotta get mixed with the oil, the gas. All right, we'll see how
All right.
Dave's siphoning
Hey.
move here. So you want the one on up higher, right?
Yeah.
That's the starting point.
And that's the problem. People put these on too tight and they break them. They don't really need to be tight because they're gaskets usually on them. And this is the coolest little invention. It's just a little piece of copper with a marble in it. And you just go like this. Whoa, got to keep that in there. You shake it up and down.
What?
Yeah.
So the suction of the marble starts the flow instead of you having to suck it with your mouth.
Yeah, the marble, when you push the thing down, the marble lifts up and gas leaks in, and then when you lift it back up, the marble goes down and it locks it. And so each time you do it,
That is the best little siphoning device.
yeah, it totally is.
So much better than having to try to suck or
Or
blow
the
or
Mexican guys go like this.
That's how they did it for me on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, they blew into it.
Kind of.
Where'd you get that attachment that
It comes on the hose. Yeah, so
Did
they
you have
sell
to
the
order
whole thing
that?
now. Oh, they got them at West Marine and stuff like that usually. pretty cool though.
It's probably not that expensive either, too.
No, it's just a hose with a little copper thing. I mean, the guy was a genius. So we'll siphon this in. This makes it easy, this hose, for getting it into the dinghy too. I just pull up to the side of the boat and it's like a fuel.
It's long enough, yeah, to reach from that can right down into
the little can, and for my bigger motor, then I actually get a longer hose. Dude, it got every drop.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
all just with that little marble. There's a little marble inside there.
Yeah. Stakes, and if you don't check them here, you get off the sail, and that's where the problems start. Reach through a line of rope, pull it through, give it a couple of twisties, and they stick there.
Very nice.
So, when I went to put the main halyard on, I did look at what I did and see how it's tangled up there. That's the kind of stuff that, you know, the guy who is in charge of the boat should always be managing when you have other people working on the boat with you, you know, your team, and you got to be looking around. Through, bring it down, tighten the sail up, but try not to get it all pinched too badly or anything like that, and then just put a loop with a half hitch in like this. Where are you? And then when I want to take them out, it's just snap, snap, snap. And,
Dutchman.
yeah, it's a furling system. You can see it's like a line, fishing line that goes through the sail, and got to glue that on. And when you drop the sail, it just goes all by itself. It stays here instead of going off the side of the boat like they can do when they don't either have lazy jacks like he has. The sail's moving around a lot, and it's really hard to slack these off in the right way without things flying all over the place. And for today, we're not going to bring it on deck, which is what we usually do when we voyage. We want to go far, because dragging it can slow the boat down 1/2 to 3/4 of a knot. And that comes into play over a 10-hour day.
For sure.
So, and also there is a risk, I suppose, of the line breaking and having that hassle. But for a day where we're just going not too far, I dropped it in the water, lifted up the motor so that it steers properly. It doesn't drop in the water and steer the dinghy, so the dinghy steers properly straight behind the boat. And when we back up, we bring it up close to the boat like this so that there's no danger of running over a line in the water. Even though I have a polypropylene sun-resistant line that floats, it could still possibly be sucked into the prop. And it's just habit from having nylon lines all over the world, which are way stronger. So anyway, the dinghy's ready. We have the sail cover off and a couple sail ties on. The main halyard is hooked. All the other lines are faired. There's nothing in the way. We check the jib sheets to make sure they're in good shape, and they are. The kayak is tied on, and now we're going to do a little bit of work on the anchor real quick. We want to drag it out real quick, and then you know, put our markers back on and stuff like that. Congrats! Hey, good to see you. Yeah, great guy, John.
Yeah, he is.
Here, make sure that comes out of there straight. So
Typically, a lot of the range you're anchoring at is around 30-foot depth, 20 to 30-foot depth, or no?
no, I sometimes go in 12 feet. You know,
Okay.
kind of a thing.
When you go in 12 feet, are you pulling out 80-foot of line?
Most of the time, yeah.
Oh, wow. Man, that's rusty. You can see how much more eaten away.
Yeah.
That bottom section versus this top.
Yeah, we might not even want to use a lot of it.
Nice nasty job to have finished.
Right?
Wow, you know, the
Thing is
tree
just-
really went degraded down in the hole recently. The lower part of it. Hi.
So was mine. It was a ball of rust. I had to take a winch handle and beat on it, break it
Yeah.
apart.
Well, I think it was turned around obviously once, but probably a little late.
Yeah, I've got some.
I've had it out of here several times. I don't remember it being this rusty in any way, shape,
Me
or form.
neither. And I hosed it down well before I left.
Well, fortunately, I still have about 150 feet of good chain.
Oh, geez, that's more than I got total.
Yeah, boy.
Wow.
Well, I guess it's time for a new chain, boys.
Well, part of it anyway.
I don't know, John. Are you insinuating that you can link it?
Well, I've got some pieces on this boat that I have linked. I've never linked chain before.
Look at that.
Just gets worse and worse and worse the more you pull out.
I know. So here's what I'm kind of thinking. Why don't we, instead of rolling through the windlass, let's just pull it out on the dock and take a peek at it.
Okay.
And maybe kind of beat it up a little bit, knock some rust off. Good idea.
Oh, that's the cleaning method right there, dragging it through the sand?
Yeah.
Nice.
Drag it through the parking lot.
No, I don't, but
I got a half-ton truck out there. We could drag it. No, seriously, you can knock all that rust right off.
Yeah, so that hole's not draining fast enough to drain all the water. So water's sitting around that chain and just rusting the chain. Oh yeah, barely.
And what's happening is that salt water was sitting in there for a long time. And a lot of the chain is in fine shape, and then there's this section that was right on the bottom of that water, and it's just got to be ruined. Wow, wow, that sucks. Yeah, let me look at how durable.
Hey, no, it's all good. That's how it goes, you know. And I get enjoyment and a kick out of this, you know, just working through it, then talking with the different people, learning little tricks from John, you know.
So I got one at 40, and I would like to get like 3 new ones of these real quick. And you can leave the old ones if you want. But we should get 3 new ones every, so this would be 40 feet, 60 feet, 80 feet, 100 feet, and 120. And I'll just kind of, you know, and then let's knock these on real quick.
Mission complete on the anchor line.
Yeah.
Lots of rust though.
We got water coming out the hole down there.
Yep.
So this is generally the panel. This is our single sideband and ham radio. It's a combination, really good radio. You have to have a license to operate the ham, but you only need a ship station license to operate the single sideband. This is our VHF radio, of course, and this is an older Garmin chart plotter, but we have replaced it. This is the panel. Most boats have one, and this is the AC panel. There's always a reverse polarity light, and now that's not coming on, it tells you that we're unplugged. So we forgot to turn these, we didn't need to turn these switches off because we switched them at the dock. But this is the AC side of the panel. We're not going to use any of that except the outlets when we use the inverter. And this is the DC part of the panel. This is where we have our cabin lights, the running lights if we're operating at night, the steaming light if we're operating with a motor at night. This is for sailing, this is for motoring. Both of these would be on for that. The refrigeration, which I put tape across because I don't want anybody to switch it off and lose everything in the freezer. And the stereo for the stereo VHF radio. Nav instruments go on when we leave. Water pressure goes off because when the engine's running, I can't hear if one of the tanks is empty and we burn out the motor by letting it run forever, right? Macerator, I test it once in a while. This is the bilge pump. I have tape on it too because I don't want anybody to turn it off. I don't even like having a switch on a bilge pump, but this boat came with it. Shower drains off, auxiliary 3 goes on, autopilot goes on, auxiliary 2 goes on, LPG solenoid, that's for the gas stove, we don't need that, LP and auxiliary 1. We don't need deck lights and we don't need an anchor light. All those switches, 1, 2, 3, the autopilot and the nav instruments, 5 switches you turn on when we operate the boat. Okay?
Got it.
And to start the boat, we turn the battery switch on down here. And
Oh, gotcha.
And there's an anchor switch there too. So between the two, that's where we go. All right. Taking up the binoculars and the VHF radio. Fire up the motor. I'll run you through it.
Sweet. Yeah.
Hold that on you. Okay. This is the start key. Here you go. And before we make all the noise of the running motor, I'll have you start this stuff. You can see this is already started. So push that button. That's the on button for our B&B chart plotter. It's just an electronic map. You better know how to use paper in case that ever blows up. Okay, so it'll turn on and we'll get depth in that. Meanwhile, this has to be turned until it says accept. So you just turn that and it says accept, get on the word accept, push it, and the autopilot's ready. Then hit accept there, which tells you that this isn't going to keep you from sinking your boat. It's your problem if you do. There you go. And we got depth. Boat's not got any speed, and here's our chart. I got a depth alarm on 15 feet. We're in 9 feet of water, and that's us sitting there. And we're real quick where we're headed for today. Whoops. If you turn this and that doesn't turn, this, then you're on the forward-seeking sonar. So turn the gain down. Oops, here, you can hold that. Turn the gain down until you get the picture that you want. You want to overdrive it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then touch that part of the screen. This is active. You can go in by turning that knob, and you can come out. So we're going to get out of here, and then we have a channel that we have to go down for quite some time. And after that, we can, depending on if we want to sail or whatever, we can go out and sail, depending on the conditions we encounter. And then this is False Bay. You can touch on it. Oops. Touch on it, and it'll drive right into that spot. We'll go in there to anchor. And then you can read down here. I'll show you real quick. Like if you wanted to go to that spot, you just touch that spot. You can examine the route to make sure there are no obstructions, and then it gives you the latitude and longitude for that, which is not really that helpful on an electronic chart. But it tells you it's 5.767 miles, and it's at 301 degrees magnetic. So if you steered out of here 301 degrees for 5.6 miles, you'll end up exactly at that spot. It's cool. All right, so we're ready to start the motor, and to clear the cursor, get back on the boat, you just go like that. So we're going to start the motor. The key goes in here, and let's see, yeah, I'll tell you, the key only goes in one way. The next thing we do is we just go ahead and feel that, make sure it's in neutral. So put it all the way in forward and all the way in
that's all the way forward.
Yep.
And then I'm coming back.
And you feel it.
There I felt neutral.
And
then I got all the way reverse.
Yep. Okay.
And then I'm back in neutral.
Back in neutral. And this, we just want to lift it a little bit like that. Go ahead and put it down and get a feel for it. And I'll put it back up. Yeah, just enough so that we don't start on the idlest idle. So you're going to turn the key on like this, and then you look at the battery. I'll just do it today. You see the battery here?
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we go. I just saw it. Yep.
Okay. So the key goes on, the battery goes on, and now I'm going to hit the glow plugs, and generally you see the battery go down a little bit. So you count to 10, like, you know, kind of a thing, because we're heating the glow plugs. And then we'll go ahead and, this is the start button. And then after it's started, you hold the glow plugs on for just a minute, and then drop it back off. You see that it dropped it off. And make sure the gauge doesn't go all the way down, because that means you turn this key off.
Gotcha.
It's getting a little funky. And it's got the RPMs for some reason. There they go. I like to keep it at do you hear the different, when it's going like 800 RPMs, you hear how everything's rattling?
Yeah, it's almost
hard on the motor. So I like to go up to where she calms down. You can hear 900, she starts calming down pretty good. So right around there, 1,000, she's even calmer. So what we're doing now is we're going to wait for this temperature gauge to lift off. Maybe 5 minutes of fooling around with the dot lines. Then when we go out, we run at reasonably low RPMs until we get up to about 160 degrees, and then we can use the motor. But we got some breeze, so we'll probably get out there and do some sailing.
Nice.
After we get out of here. So now, the next thing I always do is I center the helm. Okay,
so I see your marker right here.
She didn't go any further than that. And she didn't go any further than that. So now we know 3/4 of a turn up in the center, and when we back out of here, she'll go out straight. When you back up a boat, most of them have propellers that are right-handed, then it'll pull the stern around the port, whether you like it or not. The boat is always, the bow is always the minion of the wind. So if you go out there with no power and stuff and try to turn back up that way, you're probably going to find it really hard to back up, because the wind is going to be pushing it this way. So you could end up, if you really force it like this, and then you'll drift sideways into the other boats. So don't fight it. Always have a meeting with your crew about, or yourself, about where the wind's coming from, and think about what the boat's going to do. Is there a current that's going to drift this back and forth, or is the bow going to blow to that side or to this side? What are the trouble points you could get into? In this case, the wind is coming pretty much straight back with a slight turn.
Yeah, I can see on the flags of the boats.
In our case, we got a pretty much good room here. I think we can just back straight out and go as far back straight as we can, and then when we put some power on forward, we'll be able to turn her really easy. And once she's got a knot or so under her belly, the rudder and the keel become very powerful against the wind. It's only when she's backing up or going real slow that the wind dominates. So if you have a right hand propeller that's pulling your ass port side to the wall, you know, to the left, to port side, how can you overcome that? When we pull out of here, we watch the bow and see where she goes, and we might turn the rudder this way to try to force the boat to go this way to counter the rudder going that way. And so we get it like that until she's got a little speed. As soon as you feel the speed, you'll be able to bleed that off. We can even put the motor in neutral and just drift back, okay? And then once we got enough room, we'll turn and go out. I wouldn't let you do this today, but I want to do it today because of the windy conditions and stuff like that, because we didn't have a chance to go over other things that I think that would contribute to a good, successful. And we can get out and practice maneuvering the boat when we can't hit anything.
Exactly. I like that.
All right, so our meeting is, we can do it from here if you want. We have the dinghy up. It's ready to go, so it can't get under anything. After we get out of here, I'll tell you to release the dinghy so you can slip that line off and untie just that first part and then pay out the rest of the line. The dinghy will go back there, right? On the dock lines, the wind is pushing us pretty good this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the spring lines off, and throw them in here, and then we're going to have a bow line and a stern line. And estamos con los discos.
String line first? Okay, déjame quitarla.
Okay, this one. So we're going to take off the string line.
Yeah.
And since Chava's here, we'll have him kind of walk the bow out. Yeah. You can go ahead and get that. We'll take them all the way out. We'll go over the cockpit.
You're saying take this off, right?
Yeah.
Completely?
Yeah. It's going to help.
Okay. What about the step? You just leave the step?
Yeah, step's fine.
But then the...
Oh, hey, wait, you got to give me that. Yeah, load up and hop the board. Hop the board. Okay, job. Thank you. You can throw it aboard. Thanks, amigo.
Thank you.
See how the bow's kind of wanting to go to the right? Even though I have the...
You're going straight back?
I'm going straight... No, I'm not. I have the helm all the way over to the right. But you see, now she's starting to go straight. Watch her. I want to see what she's doing. Now she's starting to pick up speed, so she's turning. Because I don't want to get too close to those boats. And then I'll go forward. This is called the back and fill maneuver.
Back and fill?
Yeah. And so I started to get a little close. Watch, I'll do it one more time. I'll slow her down, and she'll back out. And we got plenty of room now. That second back and fill was not a good idea.
Yeah, because the wind was
My
overpowering you.
demonstration to you kind of pushed it a little bit. I had it made on the first one, right? But as you see, we were able to pull it. But if anything had gone wrong there, I would have just put her back in reverse and backed away from the trouble. You can always change minds. Also look, and do you see any masts or big boats moving around?